Hello, my name is Alun. My pronouns are he, him, and today I'm facilitating the start of a series of my own game, and the endlessly in development Eotenweard, a PbtA game that is intended to be a gritty, low fantasy game set in what some people still call the Dark Ages, that window of time about 200 years after the Roman legions withdrew from what was then the province of Britannia. It's a time of change. It's a time of supernatural, what's the word? Unsettled supernatural events, a looming darkness growing over the old north of the province. And we are going to be sharing this time with four heroes who have been called by their various supernatural patrons, or maybe cursed by their supernatural patrons, time will tell, to come together and protect the innocent from this looming darkness, whatever form it might take. We'll discover that as we play to find out. This game is organised, as are most, in fact, I think all of my online games, through the Open Hearth gaming community. If you don't know about the Open Hearth, please do type it into Google and come and see us. We think it's a very pleasant community. Large number of people from across the world. In fact, we're covering a couple of continents today, and we think we've got a very, very positive play culture. And part of that is recognizing the need to play with safety tools. Now, this is a game that maybe should be a little bit dark, maybe should be a bit edgy in terms of what's going on, but that can make people uncomfortable. And so we are going to be playing with a set of layered safety tools. We're going to play with lines and veils. Lines are things that won't crop up in the fiction. Veils are things that may crop up, but we will draw a discrete veil across them. For example, because I'm old and British, consensual sex will be behind the curtain. And I've made a start on the safety and links tab. If I direct the players in that direction, I've made a start on my starting lines, my starting veils. Feel free to up my veils into lines if you like. There's also an ask first and an interested. Somebody put some stuff in the interested column. I will endeavour to meet those obligations, but you never know your luck. So we're playing with lines and veils. We're playing with the X card because you can never quite predict what might make you feel uncomfortable in a game. The X card is there to just pause the game. Now, my advice would be, show me the X card because my focus tends to be on the faces of the players, or type it into the Zoom chat. If anyone notices X card in the Zoom chat and I don't appear to have, please draw my attention to it. The X card is there for anything. I've had people play an X card because I'd named an NPC, and it turned out it was their brother-in-law, I think, name, and he began to do some terrible things. And they said, can we just change that name? I can't, think of my brother-in-law in those terms. So it'll be something like that. The X card is useful if you think that anyone is, me or any of the other players, are sailing a little bit close to a line. X card just pauses and allows us to clarify whether there is a risk of us getting into some dodgy territory or not. And what I would say is that something may come up and you think, oh, I'm okay with that. But then it comes up again later on, either today or later on in the series. Just because you didn't play the X card when something first came up doesn't mean you can't play it later. Yeah, it's always there to be used. We're also playing within our community guidelines, which, as I say, I think we tend to think are pretty good. And if you don't know about, there's a link to the community guidelines that I will add to the video when I post it. We're also playing with the open door, which means that if this turns out not to be, and this is addressed to the players, if this turns out not to be the game that you thought it was, and you're not having a good time, for goodness sake, don't waste the rest of your day. The open door is there to be used. If you're not having fun, don't feel chained to your screen. It's also there because sometimes stuff happens behind us in the real world and we have to go and deal with it. It's nice to know if you're coming back, if you can let us know, I've got to just doorbell rings, off to that, back in 5 or something like that. That's helpful. But if anything happens to, if I disappear, and I should warn you that we've had our electricity has gone off twice in the last 48 hours, so it is possible that I will simply poof, disappear. If I'm not back in 10 minutes, it probably means something significant has happened. But if you could give me 10 minutes just to go and flip my mains board back on, I'd be grateful. We're going to use Stars and Wishes. I think Stars and Wishes is a safety tool. We're going to use it at the end of the session just to reflect on what we enjoyed, what we were not so happy with, or what we'd like to change, or what we might want to happen down the road. Um, so my hope is that by using those safety tools, I know this annoys some of our viewers, um, which is partly why I spend a lot of time talking about it. Um, if anything comes up, the objective is to make sure we continue to have a good time. Okay. So that's all I'm going to say at this point. We've done a bit of character creation before the recording starts, but I think what I want to do is to just ask the players to say hello, tell us about their pronouns, and then briefly introduce us to their characters as we currently understand them, and then we'll carry on asking some questions about those characters or their backgrounds to try and flesh out who we've got in front of us. So I'm going to start on the left-hand side of the character keeper. I'm sorry, T, my eyes drift always to the left. I will try to remember to start in other places as we move on. But T, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and tell us something about your character.
Absolutely. I'm T, she, her, and I'm going to be playing Ceri, who I think responds to any pronouns, so sort of a indeterminate gender, wears a lot of layers of faded clothing. Squinting eyes, seems just sort of generally vague as a person, very pale. And Carrie is the Loon and follows the Christ god and has a Brittonic background, but knows very, very little about it. The only clear memory she has is of a woman's hands and voice weaving a skep and sort of batting away his his childish attempts to help. Um, and yeah, that's Carrie.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving along to Paul, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to your character.
Hello, I'm Paul, he, him, and the character I'm playing, hopefully for the entire arc, Black Cenred. Used to go by the name just Cenred, but since he was hung and then saved, he now goes by the name Black Cenred. He was hung by a northern tribe, and he believes he was unfairly hung. And yeah, he was saved and now is seeking to also save somebody to redeem himself.
Now, just so I can clarify, you were hung and you were saved. Are you at all clear about how you were saved, or do you remember being hung and then waking up?
Um, yeah, hung from a tree. They dispersed. I was, um, and then somebody with an owl-looking face cut me down. Yeah, can't quite remember whether it was a mask. It must be a mask because, you know, I don't know anybody with an owl face. So yes, maybe it was somebody with an owl mask cut me free.
Okay. And precisely what did they claim you'd done that justified hanging?
That I'd killed a man who was the chieftain. I thought I was saving his wife, but she then accused me of cold-blooded murder of her husband.
Okay,
Rowan, the scheming chieftain's wife, from my point of view, of course.
of course. Thank you. Robbie, let's come to you next. Say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and tell us about your character.
Okay, my name is Robbie, he, him pronouns, and I'm playing Gwylog, he, him pronouns. Gwylog is using the Celtic Mystic playbook. Gwylog hails from the pagan northern marshes, and kind of had some mystic training that occurred in a specific place in the marshes that was purported to have some special power, and it certainly seemed to Gwylog when he was there that this place just seemed different from the surroundings. It always seemed, a little bit warmer than it should have been at that time of year, and there were, plants growing there that were plants that Gwylog had not seen previously any place before. Um, and Gwylog has a kind of staring gaze and has a kind of a robe that is curiously decorated with some of these plants that have been kind of woven or kind of formed into ringlets and things like this uh, that he then has kind of carrying with him decorated on the robes that he wears.
I notice he's chosen a staff. Is the staff similarly decorated, or is it just a run-of-the-mill branch he's pulled off a tree?
Well, it is a staff from this special place, so it's not decorated, but the the wood is not. It has a kind of purplish tint to it, and it doesn't seem like I mean, it's very very hard, very sturdy staff with this kind of odd purple hue to the wood that you would most people would kind of look at it, and if they look close would be very curious about as to what kind of wood that was.
Fine, fine. I like all that. And then finally, let me come to Xena. Xena, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and then tell us something about your character.
Hi, I'm Zina, they, them, and I am playing Branwen, who's also they, them, and is the spirit. So well, I'm longing for the afterlife. Um, and what do I look like? Well, I look like I might be of Christian Brittonic descent. Um, and my clothes also seem to suggest that I am, well, a Christian spiritual, I don't want to say leader. I'm thinking it's probably more, the robes of maybe a monk, maybe there are some small details there that don't quite look um, that look a little bit odd, maybe, as if maybe I am still clinging to some older traditions. But I think you'd have to look closely to notice that. Um, was there something else that I
Well,
forgot now?
I notice you've chosen aura as unnerving.
Mhm.
Is it the clothes that make people kind of look twice at you, or is it something about your, I don't know, demeanor that unnerves people?
I think it'll be more, well, maybe the clothes. No, I think it's more the demeanor. It's like I think I might have a very unnerving stare when I don't pay attention to what I'm doing.
Right, we might see that in play later on. And you were buried as a Christian
Mhm.
in one of the northern kingdoms of Gododin. Um, how is because you were, why didn't you go to the afterlife? That's one of the questions you want to answer. But you were buried, and then you were moving about. So how is the power in that place that led to you being at least partially raised from the dead? How is it contained?
Yeah, so I was buried in a like archaic church and like under a stone slab, sort of on the what is it called? Well, under the floors of the church. And well, it seems like whatever was supposed to contain me ended up actually raising my spirit. So I don't know. Is it actually contained now?
Well, let me ask you the successive question then. Um, what risk do you believe this power represents to mortals? Because if it is on the run in the world, what do you fear it represents as a risk?
Well, it might disrupt um, the natural circle of life. Maybe more people might get stuck in this sort of liminal space rather than being ushered onward. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. If you can just make a note about that risk, it will be useful because then if I have an opportunity, I can play back to it. Um, Let me go round again with a couple more questions. Um, Ceri, our Loon, this woman you remember? What do you think would happen if you met them again?
Yeah, I don't think he's certain. I think at some point they decided that this was their mother, and that at some point they have become lost. And if they met again, you know, he'd be folded into this presumably fairly pastoral life again, based on very little evidence besides circumstantial.
But Kerry has created this relatively positive picture of what would happen, is the sense I'm getting from that.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, again, if you put a couple of words or phrases in that box, just to so we don't forget that, I'd be grateful. Um, Cenred, Black Cenred. Um, you mentioned the chieftain's wife um, as your principal accuser. Why did she accuse you of that? I mean, you did it, but she seemed to put a different spin on it. You killed someone in defense of her, and yet,
Yeah, I believe it was a play for power because she's now taken her husband's spot as the chief of the tribe.
right. So it was all about the power. Um, Gwylog, why did you leave before you had completed your studies?
Um, I think that the wise ones of uh, my clan were um, were saying that the old gods um, needed us to leave, that there was something kind of monstrous that was um, appearing in the marshes, in those northern marshes. There were sightings, but then the wise ones were saying that we it was dangerous and untenable for us to remain there, and it wasn't really clearly explained what these monstrous things were, but uh, it they were, whatever they were formidable and required us to move.
Then I'm curious, was there a sense in which you were dispersed for your own safety, or the group of you, or were you dispersed to find out if that threat extended beyond the marshes?
I think I was in a group that was, because I hadn't completed my training. Those of us who had not completed our training were dispersed, we were said, for our own safety, but there were others that had completed the training that were um, that were remaining behind to kind of investigate further. But I don't think I've ever heard um, heard
Once
back.
you'd gone, you'd gone.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Again, a couple of words or phrases would be helpful. Um, Now, let me come round. I won't start with our Loon this time. I'm going to try to remember to shift my starting point. I'm going to start with our reformed Cenred. Um, uh, your arc. Discover who or what you must save from death as you were saved. Who or what from your past do you believe may have an insight into resolving your arc? Why do you fear them or it?
I fear anything to do with an owl, either a symbol, a shield pattern, the animal itself, or a mask. I clearly think it's mystical, and that's best avoided at all costs.
Okay. Um, in terms of our Celtic mystic, Gwylog, Um, your arc, discover who or what is the key to the return of reverence for the old gods. Who or what from your past do you believe may have an insight into resolving your arc? Why do you fear them or it? Because it's fair to say that the old gods are in decline. You know, the Christ God has made a big play for power, and now the Saxons have arrived, touting Woden and the rest of that pantheon that will one day fuel a significant superhero franchise.
So who or what from my past do I believe may have an insight into resolving that? Um, um, if it's a person, um, maybe it's like, when I was in training, I had a specific mentor, and when we had to disperse, I got separated uh, from that mentor. But I mean, maybe that would be,
In that bit that
I
your
feel like I need,
separation may
yeah,
play
that there's
into
that
why you
separation.
are with this group of people.
Yeah.
Well, put a couple of words or phrases in there that we can build out on. Um, our spirit, an arc. Discover who or what can offer you the key to your afterlife. Who or what from your past do you believe may have an insight into resolving your arc? Why do you fear them or it?
Good question. Um, I wonder if it's ooh, what is the word? Okay, what is the what is the equivalent to a mother superior in a monk's order?
It would be a prior, perhaps, or an abbot.
Right. Yeah, maybe it is that like from my past because apparently I must have some kind of ties to Christianity. Well, I mean ties, an affiliation.
Mhm.
Um, and maybe I fear them because why? Because they know more about me than I would like anybody else to know, and they may therefore withhold
Okay.
this help.
Okay. Um, yeah, no, some words or phrases on there. That's a meaty subplot just waiting to be exploited. Thank you for that. Um, uh, the last set of questions, and then we'll take a break. Um, I will this time start with our Celtic mystic, if I may. How did your patron call you to the sorry, I can't spell, to the service, to their service, and or reveal your gift to you? And remind me, what gift did you take? Miracles and wonders, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, how did the old gods make it known that you should be in their service? And how did you learn that you had the gift to make miracles and wonders happen?
I think, um, I think that early in in my life there was a kind of ritual that all children kind of went through. Um, and um, I think with the ritual, which was a long ritual, and um, but th those who were touched by the old gods um, had dreams and visions, and they were the type of thing you couldn't, right? You couldn't just fake it, right? There were, kind of specific insights that were revealed by the dreams and visions at the end of this ritual that you would articulate to the wise ones, and um, that kind of proved that you had been touched by the old gods.
Fine, fine. Do you want to put some words and phrases down there? And let me ask the same question, Xena of Branwen. How did your patron, presumably the Christ god, how did they call you to their service and reveal your gift to you? And did this happen before or after your death?
Okay, so do you want to know what I chose again?
Yeah,
Yeah,
remind
so
me.
I chose sights and sounds. Your patron sometimes lets you send or receive sights or sounds to places normally denied you. Um, ooh, I'm a little bit caught off guard.
Well, we should remind our audience and ourselves that you stepped into this game at like 10 minutes notice. So, you are allowed some leeway here. If you want to sit on that one and come back to it, I'm very happy for you to just take some time to think about it.
Right, well, thank you. Then I will just, yeah, have a little moment to think.
Okay, not
That's
a
okay.
problem. Let me come back round then to Ceri. And I mean, the same offer comes to all of you, actually. I sound like I'm an interrogator here, just demanding answers to questions. That's not my intention. But how did Ceri get called to the service of her supernatural patron, of their supernatural patron? Sorry.
I mean,
Um,
any works.
oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
Can't do it wrong.
and reveal your gift. Remind me which gift you chose.
The site.
That's right.
I'll get the specific verbiage. Your patron sometimes shows you things that cannot be seen and may be best left unseen.
Ooh.
Which I think also plays a little bit into, his fear about memories potentially being restored at some point or learning things. Because I think she has learned from firsthand experience that sometimes stories are much more comfortable than the truth. And I don't know that he's seeking it out with particular alacrity. Um, but I think the call, I think this is probably her, besides the woman, her earliest memory, that she was in a wood on a spring day. And I think they have I think they can see, but I think their central vision is a little bit iffy. So I don't think they can see super well, at least with their eyes. And was in a wood and heard a dove cooing insistently, and followed the dove to a chapel, and I think the chapel was empty, but they had not had food or water at some time at this point, and there was bread and water there for them. Um, and I think at that point, he had his first vision of the next place that he needed to go, sort of like the road to take from this point to the next point to the next point.
And
Um,
I mean, presumably, is that the last memory that he has?
yeah.
Everything before that, apart from this sense of this woman weaving and all that rather nice pastoral feeling,
Mhm.
that's the last memory he has of that
Yeah.
time before. That's the point at which before becomes now.
Yep.
Okay, okay. And I've realized I forgot to come round back because I started somewhere differently. I forgot to come round to you for the other question. You see, why do I make life difficult for myself? Um,
No, you're good.
your arc, discover who or what took your memories of the time before. In terms of that, why do you fear to know the truth about the time before? Because it sounds great.
I mean, I think, you know, the truth she's come up with as the one she would like to be true, sounds amazing. But I think also, you know, in his wanderings, he's come across a lot of, you know, cruelty and, you know, I think we have a line on domestic violence. We sure do. But just like a lot of like cruelty and people being, you know, turned out of their communities for various reasons. And I think that, you know, in their heart of hearts, they think that's probably what happened to them. And they don't want to know why or that it happened.
You prefer those warm, fuzzy memories that that story you're creating
Yeah.
than the truth. Maybe.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Um, Last question, and this is about what brings you. I tell you what, I've overrun by about 10 minutes, so I'm going to take a break now, and we'll come back and do that last question about how you were brought together, because you are a fairly odd combination of people for lots of reasons. People I use loosely, Branwen. So look, it is nearly quarter past. I'm going to suggest a 10-minute break this time, and then we'll drop to a 5-minute break next time, just so there's time to boil the kettle and do things like that. So back in our seats at 25 minutes past the hour. Is that okay?
Sounds
Fine.
good.
See you then.
See you then.
So titles have run, and we are opening with our heroes trekking, because it's such an iconic location, and I've set our first settlement in Bernicia. We see you following the ruins of the Roman wall. It's in better condition than it is now, but it's still pretty ruined, because I don't think that the producers were prepared to ante up in the pilot episode for rebuilding bits of the wall. So you're following the wall, um, and the camera picks up each of you in turn. And I just want you to tell us what bit of your character, your dress, your look, what is it that the camera seems to pick up on each of you? What characteristic of each of you? Let me start with Gwylog. What does the camera pick out?
Um, I think the camera picks Gwylog kind of closely inspecting part of the wall where there has been unusual damage, or at least Gwylog is down on you know down on his knees, kind of curiously looking through some of the rubble here, with this intense stare.
Is
Um,
there one of the other characters that you want to have kind of notice this and be surprised by it or interact with about it?
um, well, yeah, I mean, maybe Bronwyn, just because Bronwyn has struck me as maybe somebody who would maybe have some kind of insight into what may have caused this, which seems, I mean, we've seen rubble all along, right? But there's something about this particular place.
Well, I suppose that opens the question for me to Branwen, is whether, does Branwen remember the wall when it was better constructed? Is she a year dead, a decade dead, a century dead?
Hmm. Good question. I think I like the idea that they know it from better times. Uh, Not that I know anything about the history of
No,
around
no,
this
no. I
time, but
mean, no,
anyway.
whatever history we make up becomes the truth in this setting. Um, so that's an odd couple, the pagan mystic and the apparent kind of Christian. Um, I'll come back to that in a moment. Let me then come to Cenred, Black Cenred. What aspect of your character do you think the director picks out in these opening shots as you are trekking across the hills of Northumbria?
Um, I think it's the large cowled cloak. Yeah, you can only just about see his eyes and a large scar down his left cheek.
Um, do we get a hint of a mark around the neck? I'm just curious.
Um, I think he wears a sort of a leather neck guard. Yeah,
Okay. So it would have to say that sounds pretty sinister.
he looks pretty sinister. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Apart from Branwen's kind of aside in that focus on Gwylog, is there an aspect of Branwen's character that, or gear or anything else, that the camera picks out in this opening first sight of the heroes?
Mm, I think, as I said, they are wearing this sort of monk's robe of some kind, but maybe as sorry, was it Gwylog? Yes, as Gwylog stares intently at this rubble, you see them sort of reach into their coat, no, cloak, robe, whatever, and pull out what you would assume at first might be like a rosary or whatever, but it looks like decidedly pagan, as in it is not a rosary. It is like it's like maybe beads that look more like they are made of bone, um, and sort of nervously, um, how do you say that? Like fidgeting
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm
with
no
those
Catholic,
beads.
but that kind of moving the beads through the hand, but they're clearly not a rosary beads.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And then around to Ceri. What does this opening shot of the heroes show us about Ceri?
Yeah, I think we see Cenred, this, large, sinister, formidable man, with a dark, hood pulled forward. Is it one of those hoods with like a long tail? I think those
Uh,
might be a little later.
yeah, well, yeah, let's have that because that sounds cool.
Okay. And I think we see like a close up on your face, and then whoop, suddenly the hood is pulled back, and Carrie capers away, tapping quickly at the ground in front of their feet with his cane, and sort of turns back and looks almost right at you, and says, "We could no good, can't see the sun." And then we'll scamper forward to where Gwylog and Branwen are sort of crouched down looking by this wall.
I like that. So there's a sense of Ceri's playfulness.
Mm.
I like that. Um, I clearly this is showing a very disparate group. And so I want to ask this last question of each of you. Starting, I think, with Gwylog. How were you drawn to the other heroes and come to understand that you shared a destiny with them? And does that play back to why your mentor may not be entirely happy with you? Are we talking
Um,
about visions, strange events that draw you together? I don't know.
well, yeah, because I'd added that like during my like coming of age ritual where I first kind of manifested certain mystic powers that it had the specific way was that I was seeing things in different places where I wasn't that were confirmed that like these were accurate visions. And so I think I had a vision of um I mean, maybe it was Bronwyn that I had a vision of Bronwyn, who I had not met, but I saw Bronwyn kind of in in a village that I hadn't been to, but I found my way there, and lo and behold, right, this person that I had dreamed of was there, or at least seemed close enough, right? I mean, my visions are not, crystal clear, but I was convinced that, yeah, that there was something, right, kind of mystic going on, drawing me to the village, and right,
And then to Branwen.
yeah.
Branwen, what about you? How were you drawn to the others? It appears that Gwylog found you, but then who did you then find? And how did you come to believe that you had a shared destiny?
I think I was drawn to Ceri, maybe, because they're sort of very well, they're playful and maybe slightly more sprightly demeanor. Um, yeah, it just drew me in because it's something that I lack utterly. Um, and the fact that they are this sort of misfit that doesn't have any memories sort of resonates with me.
Yeah, that works. What about Ceri? Ceri, was this a mutual drawing together between you and Branwen, or were you drawn to one of the others and Branwen was part of the package?
Hmm. I think it was Branwen, because we are the two that share a patron. And I think, do you think it would have been at a market, Branwen, or do you think you would have been in a church, or what do you think the location was for this first meeting?
Yeah, maybe a market. I think I
Okay.
like that.
Yeah, so I think you were at a market, and maybe there was a little bit of a crowd around Carrie. I think she tends to attract attention. And I think there were some chickens for sale. And Carrie, grabbed some of them and just sort of put it on your head and said, bird on your head, you must be dead. I think I'll go along with you. And then just sort of tossed the chicken back to the bemused shopkeep, and you have not gotten rid of him since. Every
And
morning, she's still there.
now all of them know that you're dead. They all know that you're a spirit. But that was out of the blue. That was just not something you were expecting. If I was not something I was expecting, bird on your head, you must be dead. I've written that down. And finally, let me come round to Cenred. Cenred, how did you come to know that these were heroes just like you? What drew you together? What signaled that you would spend maybe life and death together?
I think for 3 days I followed three owls who circled these three. Clearly a sign from the gods, and I believe that all of them, in their own ways, have connections to the gods of their own religions. Powerful omens indeed, and this could set me on the right path.
I like that. Fine. So we see you following the wall. We see you diverge from the wall and head up a low rise, beyond which there is a settlement. And the way this game works is that you are now going to create that settlement in outline. You are going to give me some hints as to the nature of the darkness that haunts it, and then we'll play to find out where we get from there. So what I'd quite like you to do is to have a look at the arriving tab, right? When the heroes first come in sight of a settlement, the Fates, that's me, will name it and give the players the opportunity to begin to shape the theme of the darkness in this place. This is the reason that your supernatural patrons have guided you here. Um, I'm going to prompt each of you in turn to say something about what we see on screen, or describe something unusual, concerning, or suspicious you can see from a distance. Um, Refer to an emotional memory the sight of the settlement stirs in you. Be more allegorical, dream, vision, some kind of prescient view of this, or say something equally or more flavorful. Let me start with Ceri. Ceri, when you first come in sight of the settlement of Gundholm, a Saxon settlement in the kingdom of Bernicia, what do you see that hints at the nature of the darkness it labors under?
Hmm. Okay, so I think this is odd because generally, Saxon settlements tend to be sort of wood, and this one has a lot of stone that's probably been robbed from the wall, honestly. Has a lot of stone buildings, and I think they look cold and foreboding and dark, and they're not painted. It's just the stone. And I think Carrie sort of like stops on the top of the ridge where we first sees it, and sort of tilts his head to one side and the other side, uh, and then says, "Old stone, new throne."
Old stone. This rhyming is going to be fantastic. Old stone, new throne.
I'll see how long I can keep it up.
Yeah. No pressure. You're creating pressure for yourself here, but um, let me next come to our reformed Cenred. What is it you see, feel, or something else about this place?
Uh, I feel um, sort of clawing closing in, feeling as I sort of look up to the skyline. I thought we were coming here and it was sort of a clear day, but now it looks sort of foggy all around. Yeah, and it's just sort of oppressive and it's pushing in to the village.
Literal fog, or just an atmosphere, a heavy kind of that the way sometimes on a really grey day, it feels the clouds are really
Yeah. It doesn't quite look like fog, but it definitely sort of looks hazy-ish and yeah, pushed in.
okay. Okay, fine. Enclosed, dark, and oppressive. I've written down. Um, Gwylog, what strikes a chord here that suggests all is not well? Physical, what we see, what you feel, or something more allegorical, more visiony, dreamy, whatever.
Um, I think what's disturbing is um, it's the middle of the day, but it seems to be um, oddly still. But there, maybe the only people we initially see is maybe a gathering outside the settlement, right? That there's like a group that we see um, nearby um, that we can pick up. But like in the settlement itself, it's like at least right now, at first glance, we don't see any real movement in there.
Fine. So peculiarly quiet within the settlement, and yet this group of people outside it. Okay. And finally, Branwen, what what do you see? What do we see? What do you feel? Or anything else about this place that is of concern that might indicate some aspect of the darkness that looms over it?
Hmm. Did we speak of the season? Did I miss that?
We
Or
didn't. Would you like to help us out with that?
okay. So I think despite the fact that it is that it's summer, despite the fact that it's summer, nearly all of the trees are bare. Maybe with the exception of um, one kind of tree that bears fruit, but I would love somebody else to help me with an idea for what kind of tree that is.
Any thoughts?
Hawthorn?
Why
Hawthorn?
not? Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Hawthorn it is, except for a hawthorn. Fine. I will ask you, is this a separate hawthorn bush, or are they using hawthorn to as a boundary, as a fence, or to enclose some animals? I'm just curious.
I have not thought about this. Maybe it's something that is dotted throughout the place, probably as well, maybe in response to the fact that none of the others seem to be um, thriving there.
Okay, fine. So that's our initial impression of this place. The next thing that's going to happen is that the camera is going to zoom in on the village, and it's going to zoom in on 4 people. Well, 5, but 4 you need to worry about. These are the significant non-player characters, if you will. These are your supporting cast for this episode, for as long as you're at this settlement. And you will find on the Gundholm tab a variety of significant people. So you have a range of descriptors from aging to young, and a range of roles in the settlement, in the village, from the spouse of the lord or lady down to a trader who might be visiting. Each of you is going to choose a combination of a descriptor and a role to describe someone who is likely to be important in your visit to this place. Okay, now I'm going to start with Paul because he's done this before. Yeah. So Paul, what are you thinking about a descriptor or a role, whichever order you want to go?
I'm going to go with a descriptor, so I'm going to roll the random dice because it's a nice table. And oh no, it was highlighted. Now it's not. Okay. 5 and a 1. So the obnoxious. And let's go for a roll in the hall, just a single d6.
Okay.
2. Heir.
Heir, the obnoxious heir. Now I've added this, you'll see alongside that table, there is a slot where we can fill in these people. Paul, I'm going to leave you to put a name and some pronouns on that heir. And I'm going to tick off obnoxious and heir. Because we can't use the same ones twice. No one else in this village is going to be obnoxious. Coming next then to Branwen. Branwen, do you want to pick or do you want to roll?
I think I'm going to roll as well.
Okay.
Just give me a sec.
I think there's a link to the dice room in the safety and links tab.
Oh, sorry. I just used some
Oh, that's fine.
physical ones for now. But
No, that's fine.
anyways, it's a 4 and a 2, which means it's a lustful.
Ooh.
And let's see. Maybe let's go for roll in the village. A lustful herder.
Well, fancy that. So down in the village, we have a lustful herder. And below that table you've just been rolling on, there's some guidance on constructing a Saxon-ish name. Let me come next round to Ceri. T, which character do you want to have as supporting cast, potential antagonist, or ally?
I also rolled, hopefully this is going to be an ally, but I guess we'll find out, an honest champion in the hall.
Oh, right. Okay. And again, this is a Saxon village, so those hall folk are likely to have Saxon names. So there is a lawyer, sorry, honest, not loyal. Honest, there it is. Honest champion. Fine. And last but not least, sorry, that's the wrong box. There we go. Here we go. There we go. Last but not least, what do we think, Gwylog?
So okay, I've been rolling. So I got for the first set, I have a pious, and I need to complete my roll now for the second. So I get a 2 and a 4, but that won't work because that's a champion. So let me just roll that again. A 3 and a 6. What does that do? A healer?
Pious healer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we've got Moddred, the obnoxious heir. We've got Wigger, the honest champion. We've got a lustful herder and a pious healer. Names to be confirmed. And I get to then decide on who's in charge. So the Lord or Lady. I think this, do you know, why shouldn't I roll a dice? I haven't even called up the dice room, but why shouldn't I roll a dice? Okay, I'll roll those. Reroll selected. 1 and 3 or 3 and 1. Which one of those appeals to me? 1 and 3 or 3 and 1. 1 and 3 is a benevolent. 3 and 1 is a generous, which is kind of that suggests that the lady of the village, the landowner, is a generous lady, and I will come up with a name for her, which is going to be Gundrika. There we go. Oh no, we got Gun, the lustful herder. Let me go somewhere else. Barnotha. That's a cracking name. The generous lady. Okay. So we have our supporting cast. These are the people who are going to be important. If the narrative requires, then we'll create some more. But the other thing I want to do now is to between us create 2 places of interest nearby. Yeah. Now I think I started with you, Paul, for that. So I'm going to start this time with Branwen. Branwen, do you want to describe the descriptor of the first place or its nature? So do you want to go on the descriptor or on what the place is?
Maybe descriptor.
Okay, so which of those descriptors appeals to you?
I think I like. What do I like? I like stinking.
Okay, stinking. So let me come around to T. What does Ceri want to be stinking? A nearby place of interest. from ancient hill fort down to standing stones.
Yeah. I I like a lake.
A stinking
Yeah, stinking
lake.
lake.
Wow, no wonder people are on the other side of the village from it. Then let me come to Gwylog. Do you want to make a choice of descriptor or place?
Um, I'll go with the descriptor.
Yeah.
Um, why don't we go with um, um, something haunted?
Okay. Paul, Cenred, haunted
Uh,
what?
a high pass.
Ooh, a haunted high pass. Okay. So beyond the village, there's a steep climb up to some quite high moorland or mountains or hills with a pass that clearly a path that runs up through this knot on this close horizon. Okay, so we've got places, we've got people. The arriving tab isn't finished with us yet. The shadow manifest. The heroes approach the settlement. As you approach the settlement, I want to know where the inciting incident occurs. Is the inciting incident, which is going to be your first kind of engagement with this place, is it going to be during the morning as you approach the settlement's boundary? Now, we did say it was midday, so it'll be out, that's that, late morning as you approach the settlement's boundary. During the afternoon, somewhere in the village as you make your way to the hall to announce your arrival, or at dusk in the Great Hall after you have been announced and been offered hospitality. Um, does anyone have a strong feeling for one of them? It doesn't sound like it's dusk because you got first sight of this towards the middle of the day. So I think I'm looking at morning as you approach the settlement's boundary, maybe to do with that group of people, I don't know. Or during the afternoon after you've gone into the village and you are heading to the hall to announce your arrival. Anyone got any strong feelings about which of those?
I think I'd like to know why folks aren't in the village before we wander in there.
Okay, so this sounds like a vote in favor of morning as you approach the boundary. Is that okay? Okay. So late morning, approaching the village. Okay. Then the Fates ask them to agree what form the inciting incident takes. There's a heated conversation between NPCs. Something supernatural occurs. Someone or something makes a surprise or unexpected entrance or arrival, or something even more flavorful or interesting. Um, T gave us the time. Which of the other three of you gives us the what? You could be approaching that group of people and then something happens. You could be approaching those people and you hear two of our key characters in that group arguing, or something strange could happen. Any offers?
A rider arrives, slumped in his horse.
Slumped on in his saddle. Okay. A sudden and unexpected arrival. That might explain why that group of people are outside. Maybe they saw him coming and are there to expect him. I don't know. So, if it's not all clear, the Fates may clarify the framing of this inciting scene. So, I think Terry expressed an interest in wanting to find out why these people were outside the village. And so I think as you are approaching them, you become aware of a horse tiredly kind of appearing to be heading in their direction. What, if anything, Ceri, do you do? Rider slumped in the saddle.
Yeah. Um, it sounds like the horse is not moving particularly quickly.
No.
So I think Carrie is just gonna go up and not take the reins, but just sort of walk at the knee of the rider and just sort of peer at them closely with their disconcerting eyes. I guess squint at them with their disconcerting eyes. And I think he wants to know if he's injured or not, or just tired.
Okay, well, there is a move, a common move called Look About You. When you want to learn about someone or something or any risks, opportunities, or possibilities in the scene, roll plus sense.
All
So
right.
2D plus sense.
Uh, Despite appearances, they are very sensible. So that'll be, if I am reading this dice roller correctly, I think that's a 12.
Okay, so on a 12, that's a pretty good outcome, isn't it? You can't complain about that. On a 10
Yeah.
plus, on 7 plus, pick one. The Fates tells you something relevant or may ask you to suggest something that interests you. Uh, there's no threat here yet, so I don't have a weakness. So I'm curious whether you want him to be wounded or injured or just tired and exhausted. What's more interesting to you?
I think just tired is more interesting because if he's wounded, then that suggests, the thing that is happening might be outside the village. And if he's just tired, then, presumably it's some sort of information this writer's trying to bring in. And I think that moves the conflict into the village. And I think that's uh,
That's cool.
juicy. Yeah.
And on 10 plus, gain advantage on a subsequent action if the Fates agrees that what you've discovered or revealed is relevant to that action. Okay?
Mm.
So, um, and I think probably at the point where you're just following him, he kind of slumps on off the horse onto the ground. Um, Cenred, what do we see you doing, if anything?
Uh, it's a bit annoying. I've actually got quite a handy move here. It's a gift and it costs.
Well,
uh,
what can I tell you?
yeah. Uh, I'll rush over to him.
Yeah,
Um, Presumably, he isn't conscious, is he?
he isn't conscious. No, no, I think he probably needs to be brought round.
I think he may. Yeah. Woden, heal this man so we may know what ills this village suffers from, and I
Your
will lay my
patron,
hands upon him.
yeah, sometimes grants you the power to address another's pain. Invoke your gift. You will find that again on the common moves. When you call on your patron to empower your gift, agree with the fates what success looks like. He comes round, I think is what you're telling me. And roll plus favor.
From the vast amount of dice, I will pick two. Uh,
If none of them move, we're in trouble.
they seem to move about the page, but a 6 and a 3.
And favor is currently 2, isn't it?
2.
So that is 11. All going well. 7 plus, say how the patron's aid manifests as they empower your gift, but spend favor.
Um,
So favor is the resource that you are now spending, goes from 2 down to 1.
Let me at least get the right character. Uh, I think he comes round. Yeah.
10 plus, you pick 1. Your gift has greater impact, scope, scale, or duration than even you had hoped. You gain advantage, or they are disadvantaged in this situation. Or your patron is magnanimous and refuses the favor you sacrificed on 7 plus. Reinstate it.
So they've come round no matter what.
Yeah.
I'm going to get the favour back.
How very mercenary of you.
Well,
So yeah, he comes round. Ceri, you're on the spot here where when he slumps to the ground. What, if anything, do we see you do? Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
nothing is a perfectly legitimate response.
I think he pokes him with his stick.
Of course he does. Branwen, what about you? You have an inquisitive nature, I seem to remember. Um, what do we see you doing here? Because it must be said that as this has been going on, I think the crowd's attention, the group of people, probably a couple of handfuls of people, their attention is drawn to what's happening next to this horse that's kind of head down. Oh, you are muted.
Sorry. Quick question. It says that the seeming human move gets triggered
If you have a significant
first time.
interaction with a
Right.
mortal.
Cool.
So
Okay.
as long as you keep aloof, no problem.
All right. Yeah, I think um what do I actually have to? I'm sorry. I think I will just currently just be sort of observing what is going on.
I mean, do you have a particular question you would like to ask me, or are you just biding your time?
mm, well, I think I just want to see how, well, what this rider looks like, whether I see anything in particular that seems out of the ordinary, apart from, him being slumped over.
Fine.
Um,
Let's have you roll to look about you then. Roll
all right,
plus sense.
cool. Sense, what do I have? 2. Okay. Let me try out this dice roller. Do I just...
If you click on a dice, you'll get a little red surround. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Click on a second dice,
Right.
and then there's a green button that says re-roll selected,
Mm-hmm.
and those two dice should move.
Okay, cool. That is... What is this now?
I don't
Somehow
know
I
which.
see 2 things now.
Yeah. Now there are a lot of dice there. I
Yeah,
was going to suggest.
I did see it move. It's now a 6 and a 6. It's the
It's...
bottom two dice moved.
Right.
All
You
right.
are slaughtering me on the perfect rolling, I have to tell you. So on a pair of sixes, um, I will tell you something about this, I think, rather than ask you. Um, he is clutching a piece of parchment in his hand. But 10 plus, you have advantage on a subsequent action, which I think might be a benefit. Yeah. Okay. So he's fallen off. He's clutching it, and then he wakes, and he's still clutching this piece of parchment. Clearly, it is something of importance. Gwylog.
I think Gwylog is looking at what the others are doing for the rider, but there's a group of people here. So I think Gwylog is going to kind of approach that group if there seems to be somebody who is more in charge or is taking the lead. I think Gwylog will start a conversation with them to say, who is this?
Get out of my way, old man. Uh, I don't know how old you are, but yeah, I've got this picture of get out of my way, you get out of my way, as this young man barges past you, and also kind of pushes Cenred away and gets the man by his front of his tunic. He says, "Well, what did he say? What did he say?" Gwylog?
I think Gwylog is asking who is this? That one that pushed me away. I mean, right there are plenty of other people say who is this? We are trying to tend to them. But what mission was this rider on?
Um, I think that what you will see is that a relatively high status woman dressed as a warrior kind of follows him, says, my Lord Moddred, Moddred, let the man draw his breath. Then he can tell us. Perhaps we take him to the hall. No, I want to know now. It is apparent that we've now met our obnoxious heir, and conceivably our honest champion. And other people are kind of, oh, I wonder what it says. I wonder what it says. And the sense you get is that this is a messenger who was sent to find something out and was told to get back in a hurry, and has ridden this horse into the ground and himself in order to get a response back quickly. I won't make you roll for that. I think that's the murmur that you pick up in the group of people who are out here. Okay? Anything you want to do with that, Gwylog?
Yeah, well, I think Gwylog, partly to maybe get into their good graces, is saying then is joining in to say yes, we should take them to the hall. It doesn't do him any good in his state to be thrashing him about on the ground. He needs rest and attention, not a thrashing.
And Frithwigger, the honest champion, turns to you, says, "Are you a healer?"
I have some abilities, yes.
And then I think that she kind of intervenes between Moddred and the messenger, and kind of puts a shoulder under his arm and says, "Come with us to the hall." The assumption here is I'm going to cut to the hall with at least Gwylog there. Does anyone tag along with Gwylog? Or do you have other thoughts of what you'd want to do?
I have quick hands and quicker patter.
You do.
I do. There's not an advantage going around, is there?
I always love an advantage. Not for you, I think.
I would like a look.
Well, apart from the observation that there is a parchment.
I would like a look at that parchment.
Would you?
Yes.
Okay. When you distract someone or something with a display of sleight of hand or of mesmerizing patter, roll plus subtle. So what do we see that buys you the chance to kind of lift this?
I think as they're lifting this man, I'm going to shout or I'll point out, because you shouldn't shout.
Paul, before you get too carried away, be clear about the move. The move distracts people so other people get advantage.
Okay.
There's another move, which is called That's Worth a Lot, which is actually stealing stuff.
I don't have that.
No, well, I just wanted to make sure that the distinction was clear.
I think the spirit will probably try and take advantage of it.
Okay, so Cenred, let's see if you can set up Branwen to lift this thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to distract them by saying, "My lord, you're lifting him incorrectly. The man will fall unconscious again. You need to elevate his head, not his feet."
Roll plus subtle.
I have a subtle of 1. A 3 plus 1, 7.
That's all that matters. 7 plus. They are distracted until another hero breaks the spell by exploiting their disadvantage. So Moddred and Frithwigger are kind of what was that? What was that?
Up, down, up, down.
And they are disadvantaged. So Branwen, there is an advantage at play. Now, the way advantage works, if you're not familiar, is you're going to roll 3 dice. So I'm going to put another one out there.
And there's 3 there already.
Oh, is there?
Oh, I can see 3.
Oh, so you can. Yeah. If only these dice were in the same place on everybody's desktop. So you're going to roll all 3 dice and select the top 2.
Right.
Yeah. So that should improve your chance of success. Not that any of you are failing.
Right. So I'm done. Oh God. Okay. Let's just pick these. Right. Yeah. I guess. Well, I apparently am a bit of a stealthy one, or at least I try to be. So yeah, I will just try and sort of slip that parchment out of this person's hands. Reroll selected, correct? There
Yeah.
we go. All right, that makes it a, well, that is a 6. Wait, did I roll with anything specific?
You rolled plus. What is your move? You are. I've lost. Face a challenge. Sorry, is what you're doing, and I think that this is either subtle for being cunning, or sense for timing it well. Take your pick.
I think it makes no difference because
Okay.
subtle is +1, sense is +2. It's a 6, so like, yeah,
Seven,
let's say
7 to 9.
sense. It's 8.
Yeah, fine, fine. 7 plus you succeed, but the fate picks 1. You mark harm doing it. That doesn't make sense. It takes longer than you'd hoped. Respite is temporary. You have a chance for a quick look at it before somebody notices that it appeared to have been dropped and you picked it up.
Mm.
Yeah? So you have a chance to glance at it. I think on that basis, I can tell you that because you have monkish training. You probably are the only person around here who can read and write. So I think you are the right person to have this in your hands, and it appears to be some kind of vaguely royal decree,
Mhm.
perhaps relating to inheritance. Okay, I think that's as good as you can get without having more time to study it. And then I think Frithwigger says, "Oh, thank you. I hadn't noticed he dropped it." Okay,
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that now seeming human?
now seeming human.
Now seeming human. Yeah, right. What is this?
So
2d6 plus favor.
yes, which is currently 2, I think.
Right. Um, that is a 7 plus 2, 9.
9. Okay. So 10 plus, it would have been perfectly maintained. 7 to 9, any mortals you encounter during the session are inexplicably suspicious of you. You make social rolls with disadvantage. You are
Fantastic.
rather unnerving. And as Frithwigger takes the parchment away from you, you can see her glancing at it. She's saying she can't quite put her finger on it, but there's something odd about you. Yeah? What is it? Is it just that you are just basically unnerving, or is there anything else that hints at why the word is going to spread that
I
Christian?
wonder if, well, I mean, I said that I had an unnerving stare, but I don't think that really fits here because it's just a very brief moment. What if maybe she touches me, like touches my hands as she's grabbing the parchment, and they're not just cold, they're like absolutely freezing, like almost like when you touch the hands, you kind of go, ugh, you know?
Yeah. So
You, yeah.
yes, I like that. Thank you. So she and Moddred is not going to help to carry this guy. Gwylog is going along as the would-be healer. Ceri, what about you? What are you wanting to do as this is going on, or do you want to just cut to the hall?
I think Carrie is sort of uh, trotting, I suppose is the verb I'm looking for here, along as this rider is being carried, and just sort of every so often will pipe up and say, "Lift his head or he'll be dead." That's what Cenred said.
That's what Cenred did said. So I see you skipping. I have to, just but
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
that's just what's
Sprightly.
in my head. Um, Cenred, do you want to follow the others up to the hall, or have you got other plans? Cenred?
Oh, sorry, miles away there. Definitely to the hall.
Um, I am conscious that my timing's all over the shop tonight, folks. Would anyone like a 5-minute break before we get to the hall, or are you content to play through for the next 20, 30 minutes?
I'm okay.
I could use 5.
Let's take 5 then. It's back in our seats at 25 past the hour. I'll do better on my timing next time.
Sounds good.
Back from our final commercial break, with about 20-30 minutes to play. I'm going to cut to the Great Hall, the Hall of Lady Barnotha. But as we follow you up towards it with the other major NPCs, people kind of look out from these cold, dark stone huts. And it is odd, now it's very obvious that trees that should be, maybe there's an apple orchard at one end of the settlement that should be in full flower, and beginning to maybe to show some fruit even, is not. But there are these hawthorns scattered about. Almost every hut seems to have a hawthorn growing outside it. Some of them have them wrapped around the doorways. And there is a kind of dank, oppressive feel as you make your way up to the hall. And it's not improved in there because it's got thick stone walls. And there is a meager fire pit in the middle of this large space, giving off not a lot of heat. And sat on the lady's chair is the Lady Barnotha, who is probably in her late middle years. And is sitting there wrapped in several furs in this, and there is a chill about the place. But Frithwitha lays the messenger down, who is feeling a little better, and says to Gwylog, anything you can do. And Moddred just grabs the parchment that he's had and says, look, what does it say, mother? What does it say? And she squints at it, and says, I'm not sure I understand this. Go and get Owena. She's learned all the words, and some nameless servant is sent in search of our pious healer. Unless somebody wants to step up and say, "Oh, could I help with reading that?"
Yeah, and is it made clear that Owena is a healer?
No, I think that the assumption is that she's vaguely learned.
Yeah, because I think Gwylog is, as soon as this rider is put on a table, I think Gwylog is going to attend to them and try to kind of restore. Right. I mean, it doesn't seem like they're on the point of death, but it does seem like they're quite bad shape in terms of their physical.
They're still exhausted. I mean, Cenred brought him round.
Right.
But am I to imply here that you might want to be calling on the old gods to intervene? Might there be a miracle or a wonder on the cards?
Yes.
Or are you just being facilitated?
No, I think, I definitely have that in mind of kind of doing some type of restorative healing on this weary rider.
Okay, let's have you invoke your gift. When you call in your patron to empower your gift, roll plus favor, and let's see if we can bring him back to himself completely.
Yeah, and I think one thing that Gwylog did, noting that the one plant that was in good shape was the hawthorn. He broke off a little bit of the hawthorn because, like, it's the plant force that often helps Gwylog here, and so he's got this living branch from a sprig
Fine.
from a hawthorn.
Roll plus favor.
All right, so I'm going to just highlight the two. Let's see.
The two red dice.
Yes.
And re-roll selected.
Ooh.
Well. I think that is 3 on the dice plus a favor of 2.
Yes.
That appears to be a 5. Now, there are ways to improve your outcomes. You'll find it, listed on the same page as that move. But nothing really helps if you've already invoked your patron. You can't invoke your patron to help your patron deliver.
Right.
6+, mark shade. Now, shade is a resource that I get to earn that advances the narrative. And I'll do that in a moment. But right now, on a 6, mark shade and expect the worst, now or later. I think a burly woman, as you're kind of, I mean, what do we see you doing with this sprig? You know, what we're not going to, I don't think we're engaging the special effects budget at this point, but, you know, what do we see you
Yeah.
doing with this sprig of hawthorn?
Well, I'm clearly, engaged in some type of well, I mean it's kind of um inspecting the writer, but I'm passing the sprig right over their head, over their heart, right? I'm mumbling some, well, people around me would say I'm mumbling some words, but I'm actually kind of invoking the power of the old gods, right? And trying to kind of activate the energy from this sprig.
And the rest of you see this burly woman run into the hall, grab Gwylog by the back of his robe and kind of toss him away. Um, and she says, get this witch away from him. Only the Allfather can help this young man. And she is heavily tattooed with assorted runes. Um, and begins to do a lot of what you were doing, apparently trying to invoke the Allfather here to do some good. Um, and gradually he's looks like he's coming round, but then she's interrupted. We did not call you, Owena, to look after this young man. I need you to interpret this. Shows out the parchment, and Owena and says, this appears to suggest that the king is not prepared to to confirm that your heir will hold this land after your time, my lady. It suggests that his worth must be tested. And clearly she's slightly nervous saying that in front of our obnoxious heir, who says, that can't be true. Branwen, I'm playing into your inquisitive burden here a bit, even though you've not yet invoked it, so to speak. But you are interested in people's secrets. So I'm wondering what intrigues you about this situation, if anything.
I think, well, to be honest, I think Bronwyn would have stepped in, but I didn't want to interrupt to try and read this parchment. But I don't, I'm wondering if I can, I don't know, glance at it while, everyone else is, being quite dramatic and loud and and just, being a ghost maybe or a spirit, being rather, I don't know, maybe not noticeable when
Well,
I
I mean,
don't want to.
I'm looking at your true nature. When once possession, you remind us of something or someone from your past that mattered to you. Cast aside your corporeal seeming, reveal your true incorporeal nature, and move freely through any solids not specifically warded against your kind. Um, that in effect renders you invisible. So I'm
Yeah,
just curious whether that's a route you'd like to take.
why not? It could be
Yeah.
fun.
And then you face the challenge of unobtrusively reading over her shoulder, or is there something else you want to get out of this?
Mm, no, at the moment, I think that's what I would like to do. I
Okay.
can't really think of, like, I'm not peering into other people's minds, right? So, yeah. Hmm.
Okay. Well, what it says is, while incorporeal, you can spend favor to gain advantage on any action the Fates agrees would benefit. However, any 6+ while incorporeal requires you to roll seeming human as someone notices. Yeah. So,
Fantastic.
so I'm imagining you kind of just drifting off into away from the fire pit into a dark corner. Now, we haven't spent anything from the special effects budget yet. So, how do you want your incorporeal nature to be portrayed on screen?
Hmm. I wonder if, well, I mean, given that it's supposed to be invisible, I think it should only be this sort of slight stir, how do you say, stirring, I guess, of
Yeah.
the air around, wherever they might be moving. Um, and then it sort of settles down
Okay. So
completely again.
what I'm imagining is there's a bit of camera play around your outline, so we know you're there, but the characters in the scene don't know you're there, so we know where you're going, and we see you drift around to look over Owena's shoulder. Face a challenge. It says with the attribute the fate says is most relevant. I think that it is most relevant for you to roll with subtle, because I
Hmm.
think this is a subtle, unobtrusive approach you're trying to manage. Yeah.
Hmm.
But you have advantage to do it because you are now revealed your true nature.
Hmm.
So 3 dice, take the top two.
Okay, hang on. That is a 7 plus subtle. That's 8, I think.
8, fine. So on a 7+, you succeed, but I pick one. You mark harm doing it. It takes longer than you'd hoped. Respite is temporary or some other appropriate complication. I think that chill you described, we see Owena just feeling that chill as you come up behind her. And that chill, as we play on, may prove to be something people begin to notice more when you are about your business in your spiritual form. So I think that's the only cost. Um, what do you want to know about this parchment?
Well, I want to know if the parchment says anything more specific than, what Owena told us, and also whether her interpretation is even correct or not, because it sounds like people are mostly relying on very few people to read this. And I don't know if we learn anything about this heir and maybe the
Yeah,
reasons, or
yeah. It's clear that Owena has been a little bit selective because it's very specific. It says that Moddred um, has not arrived with his warriors to support the king when they've been called to the king's aid to join the king's warband. And there's a sense in which he doesn't think that this young man is sufficiently brave. He's uncertain about his bravery, his courage, and he wants some proof of this. He wants him to prove his worth in the field of battle or by exposing him to danger, something like that. Um, so you get a sense that the obnoxious heir is also conceivably not on the front foot when it comes to being called to put himself at risk.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Cenred?
I'd like to approach the young Moddred,
Hmm.
and now Moddred reminds me of somebody I once knew, the son of Rowan, uh, the
Hmm.
um, the woman that is possibly
That
still
set up
after
your
me.
hanging.
Yes, and could still be after me. So yeah, he's very, very similar to Modred. All Modred's very similar to him. I really want to know Modred's desires. I know these obnoxious sons of Highborn, so I think I got a good play on him. So I really want to draw out what his desires are.
Look about you with advantage, because that
Uh,
is you. I knew someone once.
Indeed. So with advantage, 3 dice +2, a 6 and a 4. I'll discard the one, give me 10 +2, 12.
Well, if only it was worth more. So you look about you and do very well. I think that he is incandescently angry. Um, he thinks this is unreasonable. He thinks that this is that somehow someone at the king's hall has bad-mouthed him. He thinks it's unjustified. He thinks it's a slight on his honor. He refuses to believe that this is what the king said.
Don't worry, my liege. The fates have put the four of us here to assist you to regain your honor and prove yourself to the king, if only for a small amount of coin. Uh, and we are more than willing to assist you. Now, I notice that your village is surrounded by Hawthorn, a well-known protection against the Fae. Does that trouble you, my liege? We have skills in that department. We have skills in many departments, in fact. Whatever ills this village, I'm sure we can, for some coin, come to your assistance. And of course, it will be your idea.
Well, I think that what I might then cut to is the four of you having had that conversation, um, being invited to share the hall's hospitality that evening and have a meal in the ladies' hall. And I'd like to offer Paul, on the basis of that interaction, the chance for you to describe an insight. Now, to explain to those of you who haven't played this before, um, the objective here is to build up a number of insights, little narrative points that if you've played a Brindlewood Bay type game, you have to string together into a logical explanation that identifies the source of the darkness here. And you do that by accumulating insights. So, Cenred, I think as at the climate at the climax of today's session, I think I'd like you to offer us an insight. What do you think? What insight into the nature of the darkness have you discovered, do you think?
I think that sort of asking around in the Great Hall and looking around the village, that clearly the villagers are using Hawthorn as a protection. As you say, there's garlands above buildings, entranceways. So the Hawthorn is a protection against something.
Okay, so on the settlement tab, the Gundholm tab, uh, if you look to the right of the details of our NPCs, you'll notice that I've added Cenred. Hawthorn is used as protection against something. Yeah. Now, I think, given this is the first time that many of you have played this, I'm going to set the depth of the shadow at 2. So you are going to need to come up with at least 3 insights before you're at positive numbers for rolling to discover what's amiss here. But I think that that's where we will start off next time. Yeah. So with that in mind, I will simply say that we cut out at that point with Cenred suggesting that to the rest of you, and that's where we'll pick up next time. But I'd like a quick round of stars and wishes, if that's okay, just so I know whether there's anything that you're particularly interested in coming up next time. Let me start. Robbie, any stars, any wishes?
Um, the character generation and settlement generation, I think, was quite nice. Very effective and very evocative, and so I think just stars all around. I think to how people kind of leveraged what they had. I think that this is an oddball group that we have coming together, but I think there's a lot of there's a nice mix, and maybe special call out to Xena for at the last minute jumping in and being able to kind of get things rolling with that. So
Any wishes for next time? Anything that you want to do that you haven't felt able to do so far?
well, I guess I mean I guess my wish is always to kind of and I've played this before, but I think things have changed since when I've played it. Um, I do I mean one thing that appears in the playbooks is the burden. I think and I'm curious about that. So I think trying to get that element
Yeah,
activated, I think would be uh, of
that
interest.
just it's worth pointing out that is entirely in your individual hands. If you express your burden, then you will get one extra favor. So
Mhm.
if you're currently on two favor, that could get you to three. If you're on one favor to two, if you've used a lot of it, it gets you back into the positives, perhaps. Um, and you will find a description of express your burden on the common move sheet. When you give into your burden and immediately express it and increase favor, um, you're stuck with that, and I will leverage that burden to complicate life for you. Yeah, but it earns you that favor. There are
Okay.
other ways to earn favor that you'll see on the sheet, but that's the way to get burden into play. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, so that was Robbie. Let me go to T. T, any stars, any wishes?
Uh, yeah, I think this is a very smooth first time with the system for me once I figured out where the Zoom link was. Um, yeah, lots of great little moments as well. I really enjoyed Branwen's hands being supernaturally cold and that sort of aura about them. I loved Moddred. That guy sucks. I can't wait to see more of him. And actually, wish I want to get him in that haunted pass. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I would love him to experience that. Um, really enjoyed the sort of the bird theme throughout, and especially the that Cenred followed owls to find us, especially given his I guess fear, right? Almost phobia of owls to begin with. So this relationship for him has begun, I think, with a certain amount of discomfort. Interested to see, I guess, a wish is to see that play out and where that goes. Um, really enjoyed Gwylog. I think the botanical theme there, and that the staff, your staff has like a purplish tint to it. I think is really intriguing. I wonder if we're gonna run into some I don't know, spooky plants at some point, which I think would be fantastic. Yeah, yeah, I'm having a good time. Stars all
Good,
around.
good, good. Zena, any stars, any wishes?
You'll need
Oops. Now we go. Sorry. Yeah, thanks for your patience while I was trying to figure out stuff on short notice. So yeah, I guess stars for that. Also, I really, really enjoyed Carrie's silly little rhymes and fun sort of oddball moments. And I'm always really in awe when people can conjure up like really vivid images on the spot because I'm not very good at it. So I really enjoyed that with Gwylog's yeah, the nature part and the way he was trying to heal the guy with the Hawthorn, etc., like really leaning into that. Um, and yeah, the same thing. I guess this is repeating what you said, but yeah, the whole bird theme with Cenred and the like quite vivid description of his looks. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And I guess my wish is that I will be less concerned with all the little things that I'm trying to figure out and anticipate, and actually be able to listen a little bit more attentively to what others are saying.
Well, you know,
That's it.
at any point, Zena, if you know, call a kind of whoa, slow us down and take the time, okay? Because I am conscious that I tend to kind of flow like a boulder down down a slope sometimes. So, you know, stop me and buy one is what I'm saying. You know, if just call a pause while ask a question, clarify your thoughts, whatever it takes. Um, and Paul, any stars, any wishes?
Yeah, you know, I love having a Loon in the party, one of my favorite playbooks, and they're always played differently. So really nice to see their tea. Um, Xena, one, standing at the last minute, and two, I've not seen the Spirit. I think it's a new playbook, so it's really nice to see somebody pick the Spirit. Is it a new playbook, Alan?
It's changed quite a bit, it's fair to say.
Yeah.
The Possessed is entirely new, but the Spirit has changed a lot. Yeah. And I was quite pleased to see one of the ones that's because we get plenty of skin changers,
skin changer.
Fae, you know, the odd demon, you know, it's all terribly last year. So it's nice to see and also a spirit that is engaging with their incorporeal nature early on. Sorry, I'm now giving stars. Sorry, Paul, carry on.
Robbie, you know, I really liked the plant background, and that you did pick up that that's the only constant thing in Eotenweard, that it constantly changes from game to game. You know, well spied, because it does.
Yeah, it may have changed
really
by next week.
Yeah. I really like the hooks dropped in there. I think that's such an important part of this game, that people leave hooks for other people then to pull, use for other things. You know, I didn't come up with a Hawthorn. Somebody else came up with a Hawthorn. You know, quick Google, it's got something to do with the Fae, so I used that. You know, it's really good when people drop these little breadcrumbs that other people can pick up and use, because it's a group game. Yeah, really good. Enjoyed so.
Any wishes, Paul?
Cannibalism.
Well, maybe not in this village, but you know, at some point across the next 6 sessions or whatever it is, I'll try for a bit of cannibalism because I'm hoping we'll do several settlements. If I'm honest, I'd like to do at least two, and possibly three. Yeah, stars from me. Thank you, Xena, for stepping up at the last minute at very short notice, and thanks for your patience with dealing with us as you know, trying to get you to spin several plates at the same time. Much appreciated. Robbie, lovely to play with you again. It's been a while, and I'm enjoying Gwylog's kind of botanical nature, like others have said. Cenred, yeah, you know, tall, dark, and hooded. But he knew a man like, you know, I hope we're going to see a lot of interesting men. I knew a man like, I knew someone who, I knew somebody who, which. That's all good. And T, yeah, this is a slightly new take on the Loon. We've had the mud-eating Loon, the mushroom-obsessed Loon. We've had the positively dangerous Loon, who was, you know, really mad. But the playful Loon is a new take, and I'm enjoying Ceri a lot. T, thank you for that. Yeah, quite the menagerie. Yes. So, if I can check in, is it okay for me to put this up on the site?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Then I will pause the recording.